Hi everyone, thank you for tuning in. In this video, we are actually going to be using machine learning to predict whether a person is going to leave the service of telco or not. A telco are also known as the mobile companies. We do have AT&T and T-Mobile in the US that actually give subscription to various users so that they can enjoy the benefits. But there are instances where sometimes customers are not actually staying in the service. They are trying to leave the service and go to the other companies. In this way, we would be using machine learning to predict whether a customer is going to stay in the service or not based on a set of features which we will actually explore in this project. Here is the problem statement that we actually take a look at, and we use machine learning and data science to predict whether a customer will churn or not churn, which is nothing but leave or not leave the service. The first step would be to perform the exploratory data analysis. We have taken a lot of metrics like accuracy, logistic loss, precision, recall, F1 score, ROC, AUC curves, and also the confusion matrix, right? And the future scope of this project would be based on the location. If we were given the information about the location, we should also take that feature into consideration and then finally give the prediction. We can also take more training data to improve our model's predictions, and then we can say for a future customer whether they're going to actually stay in the service or not. Let us now go and get started with the notebook and see how this project is actually done. This project was actually done in a Jupyter notebook, which is one of the which is one of the friendly tools in machine learning. Here is the introduction. I can also zoom in a little bit so that you can take a look at it. Here are the table of contents. Here we do have the missing plot as well. These are the libraries that we would import in the beginning, followed by reading the first 5 rows. We see a lot of features like whether they are male or female, whether the customer has a partner, whether they have a phone service, also whether they have subscribed to the internet service, and also device protection, tech support, and streaming TV. Missing env is a useful library which will actually give us the missing values in the data with the white segments indicating the missing values. But based on this plot, we see that there are no missing values, which means that we are doing a good job and we'll be able to predict it quite well. This is the shape of the data. We do have the first 5 rows of the data. We have the unique variables for each of these. We are just taking a look at them, and we take a look at the distribution of the gender, which is almost equivalent, which means there is no bias in the data, followed by whether they have a partner or not, which is fine. Internet service is also one interesting feature that we consider. A person can enroll either in the DSL service or the fiber optic service, or they cannot enroll in any of the internet services. In our data, we do have a lot of information about fiber optic internet service compared to the DSL or the people who did not have internet service. Similarly, we also take a look at online backup, whether people had online backup. A large portion of the customers did not have online backup. There are customers who did not even have the internet service as well. Therefore, it is pretty much representative of the real world. Similarly, we take a look at the payment method, whether it was through electronic check or whether it was through mail check or bank transfer. All of these steps are involved in the exploratory data analysis part so that we can get an understanding about our data before we can make any predictions. And a lot of customers can be in the month to month contract rather than staying in a 1 year entire contract or 2 years contract. We should also take a look at that. Here is the final target variable that we are trying to predict. The target variable we are predicting is whether a customer is going to stay in the service or not. A churn, if it is said yes, it means that they are going to leave the service. And if it's no, that means they are going to stay on the same service. We see only a few people are willing to leave the service. We do have some pretty data imbalance, but this imbalance is not quite significant that we would usually find in real world data sets. Or if we take examples like cancer diagnosis prediction, where only a few people have the chances of getting cancer, whereas 95% of the data would have people who did not or they do not have the chance of getting cancer. We will also take a look at the total monthly charges based on the internet service. We see that fiber optic internet service providers usually they have the higher monthly charges. These box plots give a good indication. Similarly, monthly charges, if there is any relationship between monthly charges and whether the customer is going to churn, we find that if the monthly charges are a little higher, it means it's most likely that they're going to churn. Whether it's a senior citizen or not, we take even that feature into consideration, and we take a look at a few other plots. We also look at the device protection. uh, People who have device protection also tend to have total monthly charges to be quite high, or the total charges to be quite high. We take a look at the device protection followed by the fiber optic. We try to distinguish about the number of people who have churned based on the network connection as well. Paperless, whether the payment, whether a lot of people used paperless billing or other ways, and the customers who have used paperless billing, we will take a look at whether they have churned in this case or not. We see the distribution of this data where this pie plot indicates the total monthly charges, and 1 indicates that it's a senior citizen, and 0 indicates that they're not a senior citizen, and most of the monthly charges were uh, constitutes of the people who were not senior citizens. Similarly, we take a look at the total monthly charges and the phone service and get a similar kind of trend here. And this is also internet service and the total monthly charges. And a large portion of the total monthly charges were from the fiber optic connection compared to the DSL connection or no connection at all.